You're listening to the VetFarm Network Podcast from Addie's Orchard and Veterans in Farming. This show shares real stories from veterans across the country, what they're doing after service, what's working for them, and what support is out there. We also cover practical tools, services, and events for the veteran community. Today, we're speaking with Cory Mahan, a Marine Corps veteran and the current state commander of the VFW Department of Indiana. After serving in Operation Enduring Freedom, and with the Marine Corps Embassy Security Group, Cory returned home to his family's farm in southern Indiana. We'll hear more from that about that transition and what life looks like on the farm now, and why getting involved with your local VFW matters. So let's start out with a welcome. Thank you so much for joining us, Cory. Let's start out with your time in the Marines. What you drew you to serve, and where did your service take you?
Thank you very much, Kate, for having me on. It's a pleasure being here today. But whenever I was a kid, I had a little bit of a rebellious side that I feel like many military service members may be able to relate to. I had a strong desire to do something bigger than myself. I wanted to be a part of something. I really wanted to see more of the world other than just Southern Indiana. And that's what drove me to get to that point. During my travels, I saw a lot of Europe and Asia. I was in the Middle East for a good amount of time. I was in Eastern Asia. Europe was just a little bit. Central America, I spent about a year there. So I bounced around quite a bit, but it was a very good experience.
And after your time on embassy duty and in Operation Enduring Freedom, what was it like coming back to your hometown and farm life in Indiana?
Coming back home was very interesting for me. I'm from a pretty small town, and most of the people that grow up here, they stay here and they have their kids here, and many of them don't get outside of that little realm. And I had a little bit different experience being away for 8 years, seeing a bunch of the world and being able to uh, deal with many different people, many different cultures, and many different situations kind of gave me a little bit of different viewpoint that I was coming from than some others. And with that being said, there were adjustments that went along with that. But I feel like adjustment isn't something that happens all at once. I feel like it's something you do over a lifetime. So even today, I think there's still things that we adjust going into farm life. As far as going into farm life, it's been fantastic. Like I said earlier, I was a little bit of a rebellious kid whenever I left the farm and got coming back. I remember whenever I was getting ready to transition out, I called my dad and said, "Hey, Dad, what do you think about coming back to the farm?" And I'm pretty sure he about had a heart attack on me that day. But it's been a great experience. Not many people get to work with their family full time like I do, and I'm very appreciative to have that ability.
So tell us a little bit about your family farm, what it looked like when you got there after retiring from the military, and where it is today.
The family farm is much the same, just growing, bigger equipment, and different challenges. I think what it is. As far as what my day to day looks like, that's a very difficult question. But during the spring, I spend a lot of time working in the fields, planting, fertilizing, spraying to manage weeds. There's always tile holes to fix. There's always trees that we have to clear because they fell over in the last windstorm. And there's a lot of manual labor mixed with a lot of time in the tractor. I also spend quite a bit of time hauling grain to and from the elevator, so a lot of semi time as well. During the fall, I typically manage the grain system. So I run the grain dryer, make sure the trucks are getting weighed and dumped and back to the field on time to keep the combine running. But it just kind of varies depending on what day we look at.
So have you found that there's an overlap between any of your military mindset skills and skills that you use every day on the farm?
In the military, there are many times that it almost feels like you're in a juggling act, and there are many times on the farm that that's very much the case. It's hard to explain earlier, like I was talking about, what a day may look like because there are many days that I may do a dozen, 2 dozen different things all in one day because it's kind of more of the thing you do what needs to be done. It's not that this is the only thing I'm doing today. So you have to be prepared for that. Problem solving is another thing that I feel like the military helped prepare me for on that, because you most of the time are dealing with some less than ideal circumstances and you have to figure it out and make it work. So in those regards, it's similar to the military life.
And you joined the VFW back in 2015 and have since climbed up to state commander. What made you want to get involved in the first place and then, work up to the role that you're in today?
So I just so happened to be out on a motorcycle one ride one day, and I passed the local post, and they had what they called the Vet Fest going on at that time, and they're out there and they're smoking butts, and they had their families and kids, and it was something that looked very interesting to me. I never stopped there before, so I did stop that time, and the members were very nice, and they showed me around, and they set me up to become a member, and that was kind of the start of my journey. What drew me to the organization? My grandfather served in World War II, and he always spoke very highly of the VFW. Unfortunately, he lost his leg in Normandy whenever he was over there. And the VFW was the organization that really helped him with his VA claims assistance. And I remember him talking about him, and he was never really active with the organization, but he always had something very nice to say about the VFW and how it helped him, because up until that point, he had a real hard time getting any assistance in order to help him out with the problems that he had because of his military service.
So some veterans, especially younger post 9/11 veterans or rural veterans, might not see the VFW as relevant to them. What would you say to someone that hasn't stepped into their local post yet, seen some of the modern modifications, seen some of the, you know, under 50 members hanging out? Can you speak a little bit to that, to those younger veterans?
So first off, I myself, I'm 38, so I am one of those younger veterans, and there are a lot of us out there. It, it, uh, it the VFW is definitely a mixture of ages, age groups, and nationalities, and it's a very interesting mix. Even if you never step foot inside a VFW, it's very relevant to you, though. The VFW has been a big part of so many legislative victories. We were instrumental in passing the original GI Bill, and we've been a major player in the changes that have come out as the 9/11 GI Bill, which is a fantastic piece of legislation that we have today, and it's a great benefit for our military members. We're very active in the state and federal legislative advocacy. Just last month, I was in Washington, D.C. for a week advocating for veterans. I got to go around to all of our different senators and representatives' office and actually have a sit down talk with them, and try to make sure that they understand that veterans are here and veterans vote and veterans matter. We, as far as the state house, we're constantly in the state house during legislative session. The legislative session here in Indiana is just wrapping up, but we're constantly there fighting for pro veteran legislation. We offer free VA claims assistance. I'll give a phone number for that: 317-916-3629. I really want to stress the free part, because there are a lot of groups out there that unnecessarily take your money in order to do the exact same service that we offer for free. That's a huge thing. Our posts really shine, though. In community service, just in Indiana, we had over 300,000 hours logged last year and just shy of $4 million donated through the year. We offer camaraderie, a sense of community around veterans, and we're very active with local youth sports and community initiatives as well. There are more farmers than you may imagine in your local VFW, and some of our rural posts are honestly some of our best posts, because being in that more rural situation, it gives them the ability to kind of develop that tight knit, close community that is there because they love veterans, they want to help veterans, and they want to support veterans. So I think that the VFW is very relevant, especially in the rural communities.
And I know for our experience, we first were introduced to the VFW by some friends who were also members, and then we started attending. But if you don't have a friend who's a member who can take you in as a guest, how would you get involved? How would you visit your local post? What's sort of the best step for somebody who's listening now who says, I want to either get involved legislatively by telling my story and or getting the VA claims reviewed? How would you kind of get involved first?
So, if you want to talk to a VA claims representative, the phone number that I gave earlier is absolutely a great start. That'll connect you with the VFW service office. It's in Indianapolis, Indiana. Once again, that's completely free. They can talk you through things and get the claim put together that is right for you. Also, you don't have to know somebody to walk into a post. You can absolutely walk in and say hi, just like I did whenever I was out on my ride that day. Just stop in and say hi, ask them what they do, what they're all about, what that post does, because each post has a different pulse. So you can stop in by a couple of them and see which one fits you and what you're looking for as well. So the post is a great place to get started. You can just walk in and sign up there. Also, you can log into vfw.org and use our online features. You can get involved that way there too. You can learn more about our advocacy. There's a join button there to where you can submit everything online and get that paperwork going as well. But just being a part of the VFW, even if you're not walking through that door every day, helps all of our veterans, because those numbers are the numbers that we have whenever we go to Congress and say we're fighting for this many members. So even if you don't intend on going into your local post, it's a huge help for all veterans if you're a member. Also, I would like to say to any veterans that are listening, that thank you for your service and thank you for helping us serve our veterans.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Cory. Well, that's it for this episode of Vet Farm Network Podcast and Addie's Orchard and Veterans in Farming. Thank you for being here. We're here to keep it simple and useful, sharing that veterans can do all of these amazing things after service and that you can find support, whether it's through farming, local organizations, or national networks like the VFW. We've got several events coming up, including a high tunnel building workshop, a veteran golf event, and a veteran farmer conference. If you'd like more information, go to vetsinfarming.com or addiesorchard.org. Thanks a lot, Cory, for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Kate.